We live in a world of endless compromises. From morning till night, the modern man is forced to wear a mask. You have to be diplomatic with business partners. You must be understanding with your family. You have to be correct, polite, and convenient for society. This is the price we pay for civilization. But this coin has a flip side. Constant control over your instincts creates colossal internal tension. It's like a spring compressed for years. And if you don't give it release, it will sooner or later destroy the mechanism from within. There is only one place where this mask can and must be torn off. That place is the bedroom. And there is only one scenario that allows you to do this completely. A scenario where diplomacy dies and pure biology takes the stage. Imagine this moment. You are in bed. Everything is going according to the usual Tinder script. It's pleasant, it's sensual, but something is missing. Control is still operating inside. And suddenly she changes position. She turns her back to you, gets on her knees, and arches her lower back. In that second, an invisible switch flips in your brain. Blood instantly rushes to your groin, and your heart starts beating to the rhythm of an ancient drum. Why is the reaction so instant? Why does this silhouette affect a man more than any words of love? The answer lies not in vulgarity, but in evolution. The missionary position is a dialogue between two personalities, two citizens. But the position from behind is a meeting of two mammals. There are no negotiations here. Here, there is only instinct. Today we will break this phenomenon down to atoms. We won't talk about banal sex techniques. We will go much deeper. We will analyze the psychology of power, the anatomy of submission, and those hidden mechanisms of the male psyche that force us to choose this very angle. You will learn why women who command entire corporations crave for you to take control in bed. We will talk about how visual control changes hormonal balance. But most importantly, I ask you to be attentive until the very end. In the finale of this conversation, I will reveal the main secret to you. That very hidden reset mechanism for which nature created this instinct. It is not just an orgasm. It is a special state of the psyche, a kind of biological immortality available to a man only in the moment of total dominance. And if you miss this nuance, you will never understand why you are drawn to this again and again. But I must warn you, what we are going to discuss next might seem harsh. This is truth without glossy retouching. If you understand that male nature is deeper than articles in fashion magazines, and you are ready to hear this truth, hit the like button right now. This will be our agreed signal that we are of the same blood and ready to go to the end. Do it, and we begin our immersion. Part 1. Visual Empire, the Psychology of the Gaze. Let's start with the foundation. Why is this particular angle the king of male fantasies? Many mistakenly believe it is only about friction or depth of penetration. But science claims otherwise. The primary stimulus for a man is always visual. We love with our eyes. And this position offers us a unique, incomparable panorama, which psychologists call the visual empire. When a woman is in this pose, the most perfect landscape created by evolution opens up before the man. The curve of the spine in the lower back, which doctors call lordosis, is not just a beautiful line. For our ancient brain, this is a signal of readiness. Thousands of years ago, this curve told the male that the female was ready for procreation. Today we don't think about reproduction every minute, but neural connections work flawlessly. You see this arch, you see the widening of the hips, and your system receives a command to act, bypassing logic. Here a powerful psychological mechanism kicks in, which psychoanalysis calls scopophilia. This is deriving pleasure from looking, from contemplating. In the face-to-face position, your view is limited. You see her eyes, shoulders, maybe part of her chest. But you don't see the whole picture. The position from behind changes the rules of the game. You become an observer who sees everything while remaining invisible to the object of observation. This is a position of power. You see the muscles tense on her back. You see her thighs trembling. You can observe how the color of her skin changes with arousal. Her entire landscape belongs to your gaze. And most importantly, she does not see you at this moment. She cannot evaluate your facial expression, your mimicry. She feels your presence, but is deprived of visual control. This creates a colossal gap in information, which automatically places the man a step higher in the hierarchy of the moment. You own the situation because you own the information. There is another extremely intimate and important visual aspect that is rarely spoken about aloud. It is the visual confirmation of your presence inside her. For the male ego, it is critically important to see proofs of his strength. In this position, you get the opportunity to observe the process of merging itself. You see how your body becomes part of her body. You see how her flesh parts and accepts you. This moment, when your instrument disappears into her depth and then appears again, works as a powerful affirmer of masculinity. This spectacle feeds your deep self. It tells you, I feel her, I am great, I exist. This is the visual fixation of the fact of possession, which is impossible to get in any other pose. That is why many men instinctively strive for a mirror in the bedroom or turn on the light. They need not just to feel, they need to see their victory. Furthermore, this angle gives the man a sense of total control over space for all 360 degrees. In other positions, you are often limited in movement, you are constrained. Here, you are free. Your hands are free to grab. Your body is free to maneuver. You tower over her like a rider. This awakens the archetypal memory of a hunter who has driven his prey, or a warrior celebrating triumph. The woman below, the man above, is not about humiliation, it is about the geometry of strength. She is vulnerable, her most tender zones are open to your impact, but she cannot defend herself. And the paradox is that it is precisely this vulnerability and your ability not to harm her, but to deliver pleasure, that makes this moment so acute. You are a predator who decided to give pleasure, not death. And this realization of your potential danger and real tenderness intoxicates stronger than any alcohol. By the way, a quick question for statistics before we go further. What is personally more important for you in the finale of intimacy? Seeing her face and emotions, or feeling this total control over her body and seeing the process? Write one word in the comments. Face or control? Let's see who is more numerous, romantics or conquerors. Right, honestly, we are all friends here. And now let's delve into psychology. Why is it sometimes so important for us to stop seeing a personality in a woman and see her simply as a beautiful body? How did the fathers of psychoanalysis explain this need to separate love and lust? And why does this not make you a bad person, but on the contrary, saves your psyche? The answers to these questions lie in the next part of our analysis. Part 2. Separation of love and lust, face versus body. Now we approach one of the most subtle and taboo topics of male psychology. Society, culture, romantic movies, all teach us that sex must be an act of higher spiritual intimacy. We are told that looking into a partner's eyes is mandatory, that we must be in constant emotional contact. And there is truth in this. But the fathers of psychoanalysis, the people who first dared to look into the dark basements of our subconscious, discovered a completely different picture there. There exists a phenomenon we will call the separation of currents. A man has a need for tenderness, for caring about the personality of a woman. This is what we feel for a wife, for the mother of our children, for a friend. But parallel to this, there is a dark, ancient current, pure lust, aggressive, selfish, and demanding. And the problem with the missionary position, the face-to-face position, is that it mixes these currents. When you look into her eyes, you see a personality. You see a human being whom you respect and cherish. Empathy turns on. Your inner voice asks, is she comfortable? Am I being too rough? Does she love me? This internal dialogue is the main enemy of animal passion. It lowers the degree of aggression necessary for a powerful male finale. Empathy is a brake for instinct. And here our position comes onto the stage. When a woman turns her back, the magic of depersonalization happens. It sounds cynical, and many are afraid to admit this even to themselves. But let's be honest. At this moment, her personality is temporarily excluded from the equation. Her face, the mirror of her soul, disappears from your field of vision. Only the body remains. An ideal, hot, living body that becomes the object of your desire. You stop having a dialogue with her social image. You begin to interact with her biological essence. This liberates. It removes a colossal burden of responsibility from the man. You no longer need to be a nice guy. You don't need to read her facial expressions, trying to guess if she likes what is happening. You remain alone with your sensations and your desire. At this moment, she turns into a beautiful vessel for your pleasure. And the paradox is that it is precisely this temporary transformation of the woman into an object that allows a man to unleash his sexual potential 100%. You can be rough. You can be selfish. You can be yourself. Psychologists often talk about how the modern man suffers from an overabundance of social frameworks. We always owe something to someone. At work, in the family, in society. And face-to-face sex often becomes a continuation of this social load. You work on her pleasure. You try to be the perfect lover. But when she turns her back, the social contract is broken. You get the moral right to use her body to release your tension. And note, I use the word use in the highest biological sense. This is not violence. This is functionality. You don't see her eyes. You hear only sounds, her breathing, moans, cries. These sounds are devoid of words, devoid of logic. It is the language of nature. And this allows your inner demons, which you keep on a chain all day, to finally break free. You can growl. You can squeeze her harder than is accepted in polite society. You can allow yourself that share of healthy aggression that would seem inappropriate in any other pose. This is the moment of truth when you stop being a partner and become a male. And, strangely enough, it is this transformation that a woman often waits for from you the most. She doesn't need another manager in bed asking for permission. She needs a beast that takes what is his. It is important to understand that this state of alienation, when you don't see the face, works as powerful therapy for the male psyche. At this moment, we are healing. We release accumulated aggression not through conflicts, not through alcohol, not through destruction, but through the creation of pleasure. The position from behind allows us to channel, to direct this dark energy into a peaceful course. If men didn't have this mechanism, if we couldn't sometimes turn off empathy and turn on instinct, the level of violence in the world would be much higher. Therefore, the next time you feel this irresistible desire to turn her over, do not be ashamed of it. This is not disrespect towards her. It is your way to preserve yourself and, ultimately, to preserve your relationship. Because only a fully discharged man is capable afterwards, when it is all over, of becoming tender, caring, and loving again. We go into the shadows to return to the light renewed. But psychology is only half the battle. Behind all these processes in the brain stands rigid, uncompromising physics. The geometry of our bodies is designed in such a way that exactly in this position the mechanics of the process itself change. Sensations become different not because we invented it so, but because anatomy is constructed that way. And now we will analyze exactly what happens inside when you change the angle of attack. Get ready. We are moving on to the physiology of depth. Part 3. Anatomy of depth, physics of the process. Let's cast aside the lyrics and look at pure mechanics. Why do experienced men know that this change of scenery is often necessary to reach the peak of sensation? The fact is that the female body is a complex mechanism that changes its characteristics depending on its position in space. In the classical position, the woman's pelvis is positioned so that the vaginal canal has a certain curve and length. But as soon as she gets on her knees and arches her back, an anatomical shift occurs. The angle of the pelvic tilt changes, and this leads to straightening and, most importantly, to the actual shortening of the path. The canal becomes straighter and more accessible. For a man, this means one thing: access to those zones that are closed in other poses. This is pure geometry of pleasure. It is in this position that you get the opportunity to enter, as they say, to the hilt. But let's analyze what this means in terms of sensations. You don't just penetrate deeper. You get contact with the cervix. Under normal conditions, this can be painful for a woman, but with the right angle and arousal, this deep contact gives birth to a completely new spectrum of sensations for both. For a man, this is the feeling of the bottom, the feeling of the limit. You hit a dead end, and this gives an incredible sense of completeness to every movement. You feel that you have filled the entire space, that there is nowhere further to go. This is the feeling of total possession of space. Your instrument is gripped more tightly due to the tension of her abdominal and back muscles. In this pose, her muscles work differently, creating a closer, more viscous contact. You feel every fold, every contraction. This creates a vacuum effect that amplifies sensitivity manifold. There is another aspect we will call the physics of impact. In the position from behind, the rhythm is set not only by the back and forth movement, but also by the contact of bodies. Your pubic bone, hard and tense, rhythmically strikes her buttocks. This impact births a vibration that spreads through the whole body. But, more importantly, it births sound. Characteristic, wet, slapping sounds of body against body. For the male ear, this sound works as an aphrodisiac no less powerful than the visual picture. It is the sound of work. It is the sound of the process. It is the auditory confirmation of your activity. Many men note that it is this rhythmic sound of impact that puts them into a state of a peculiar trance. You adjust to this rhythm. Your breathing synchronizes with the impacts. It is like an ancient ritual where the sound of a drum led warriors into ecstasy. Here, her body plays the role of the drum, and you play the role of the drummer. And this sound of dominance, according to numerous anonymous surveys, turns men on much more than any words or music. It is the primal music of sex. Furthermore, the anatomy of this pose gives the man a unique lever of strength. Your legs have reliable support. You can use your body weight, leaning on her, or, conversely, pull back, working only with your hips. You can change the angle of penetration literally by millimeters, and these millimeters will change everything. A little higher, and you stimulate one zone. A little lower, and the sensations change radically. You become the operator of a complex machine where your every movement has an instant response. Unlike other poses where you often depend on the partner's movements, here you are the sole engine of the process. You set the vector. You set the depth. You set the force. This is the physical embodiment of power. Your body dictates the conditions of reality at this specific moment in time. But control over the body is not only the work of hips. The man has two more instruments that acquire special meaning in this position. These are hands. If in other poses your hands are often busy leaning on the bed to support weight, here they are free. And this freedom of hands opens the next chapter of our research. We will talk about why we want to grab, squeeze, and hold so much. We will talk about the control levers that turn a lover into a rider, and about why a rough touch at this moment is valued higher than a gentle stroke. Part 4. Control levers, power of hands. So, we found out that this position frees the male hands. And this is not just convenience. It is an evolutionary gift that turns a lover into a rider. In any other position, your hands are either busy supporting your own weight or limited in amplitude. Here, however, you get full access to the control panel of the female body. And the first instinct that wakes up in most men is the desire to grab her by the hair. Why is this gesture so powerful, and why does it turn both on so much? It is an atavism. It is the memory of ancestors. When you gather her hair in your fist and slightly pull her head back, you do two things. First, you take the reins. You literally control the position of her head, like a rider controls a horse. This gives an intoxicating sense of control over the vector of movement. Second, you expose her neck. The most vulnerable, most tender zone. In the wild, a predator bites exactly here to subdue prey. In the bedroom, this gesture is a demonstration that you can bite, but choose to kiss. It is a game on the edge of danger that releases adrenaline into the blood. The second lever is the hips. Grabbing the waist or hips turns you from a guest into the master of the situation. When your palms rigidly fix her pelvis, you take away her ability to change the rhythm. Now you dictate the speed. You dictate the depth. She cannot run away. She cannot speed up or slow down without your permission. She becomes a passenger, and you become the driver. This sensation of a tight grip gives the man confidence. You feel her bone structure, you feel the warmth of her skin, but most importantly, you feel how she submits to your movement. This creates the effect of a single organism where the brain is in your head, and her body simply executes commands. For a man who is used to controlling everything in business, this physical control over another human being becomes the highest point of relaxation. You don't need to negotiate. You just lead. And here we come to the sharpest moment. Spanking. Why does the hand itself reach out to strike? Why does the sight of trembling flesh after a slapping contact cause such a rush of arousal? Psychologists call this sublimated aggression. In the modern world, a man is forbidden to be aggressive. We don't fight for food. We don't battle for territory physically. All our aggression is suppressed by laws and norms. But energy does not disappear anywhere. And a slap on the buttocks is a safe, legal way to let off steam. It is a mixture of punishment and reward. You mark the territory. You leave a red trail like a seal of your power. And this trail is visual proof that you impacted matter. Moreover, it causes a rush of blood to the skin, which increases the partner's sensitivity. Pain and pleasure mix into one cocktail at this moment, which hits the head harder than any drug. You see the result of your action instantly. You hit. It turned red, she cried out. A simple, clear cause and effect relationship that is so lacking in complex, confusing life. But the power of hands is not only holding. It is also the possibility to cover her with yourself. In the variation where you lie on her back, total dominance by weight occurs. You press her to the bed, creating the effect of a protective cocoon or a heavy blanket. Women often describe this sensation as a feeling of ultimate safety through suppression. She literally cannot move under your weight. And for her subconscious, this is a signal. He is big, he is heavy, he is strong. It means he can protect. Hands at this moment can squeeze her shoulders, fixing her completely. This is the highest point of tactile control when not a single centimeter of her body remains without your attention. You own the entire perimeter. And it is precisely within this ring of hands that the magic we will talk about next is born. After all, if women didn't like it, this pose would have disappeared from evolution long ago. But they ask for it. Why? Part 5. The female gaze, why they love it. We have reached a very important section. So that the viewer does not feel like an aggressor or an abuser, we need to understand the other side of the coin. Why do women, even the most powerful and independent ones, turn their backs in a moment of passion themselves and ask for roughness? There is no masochism here in the clinical sense. There is a deep psychology of unloading. The first and main reason is the removal of responsibility. The face-to-face position, the missionary position, requires work from the woman. She must maintain eye contact. She must express emotions with her face. She must hug, kiss, participate in the dialogue. This is work. This is social load. But when she gets on her knees and lowers her head, all duties are removed from her. She doesn't need to save face. She can close her eyes, bury her face in the pillow, and retreat into her sensations. She can be ugly in her passion. She can make faces, moan, drool. You don't see it. For a woman, this is a colossal relief. It is a vacation from the need to be perfect. The second aspect is the erotics of submission. In modern life, many women occupy leadership positions, make tough decisions, manage money and people. They have an excess of male, responsible energy. And for such a woman, the bedroom is the only place where she can take off the crown and armor. The position from behind, the position of submission, allows her to return to her female polarity. She gives you the steering wheel. She says with her body, "Lead me. I am tired of deciding. Decide for me now." The sensation of your hands on her hips, your strength from behind, gives her a sense of support. She can relax precisely because you are tense. If you lead confidently, if you hold control tightly, she gets the opportunity to dissolve in the process. This is not humiliation of her dignity. This is restoring the balance of energies. She needs to feel weak for these 20 minutes to be strong in society again tomorrow. The third point is the purely physiological sensation of fullness and pressure. Female sexuality is largely tied to the sensation of pressure. She likes to feel the weight of your body on her back. This, as we have already said, is an ancient signal of safety. But there is another nuance. In this position, when she does not see you, her other senses sharpen to the limit. She is not distracted by the visual row. All her attention goes into tactility. She feels every movement of yours more acutely, every touch of your hands. The element of surprise, she doesn't know when you will spank, when you will slow down, when you will go deeper, keeps her nervous system toned. This is a game with the unknown that tickles the nerves. She trusts you with her body, being in a vulnerable position, and when you justify this trust by delivering pleasure to her, her attachment to you grows manifold. You become the one to whom one can trust one's back, literally and figuratively. And finally, let's not forget about animal magnetism. A woman is also a mammal. Ancient scenarios are also written in her DNA. And the scenario female taken by a strong male is one of the most basic. When you take her from behind, you help her turn off her head and turn on her body. Many women admit that it is in this pose that they experience the most powerful, dirty, and liberating orgasms because there is no place for shame here. Shame lives in the frontal lobes of the brain, where personality and social norms live. But when the personality is turned off and only instinct works, shame disappears. Only pure energy remains. And you, as a man, are obliged to be able to start this generator. Because it is here, at the peak of animal merging, that you both touch that very shadow the great Swiss psychiatrist spoke about. And this meeting with the shadow is necessary for each of us. Part 6. Shadow and Archetypes, Meeting the Beast. In every long union, in every marriage, there are actually not two people living, but four. There is the day couple, you, caring about everyday life, raising children, discussing mortgages and vacation plans. This is a couple built on respect, friendship, and social contract. But there is also a night couple. These are the entities that wake up when the lights go out and the bedroom door is locked. The great Swiss psychiatrist, a student of the founder of Psychoanalysis, called this hidden part of the personality the shadow. The shadow is all our repressed desires, our aggression, our thirst for power, everything we hide to be good members of society. And the position from behind is the perfect stage to let the shadow out for a walk. In this pose, the man stops being a social partner. He turns to the ancient archetype of the centaur. Look at this image, the torso of a man, the head of a thinker, but the lower part is the powerful body of a horse, an animal. In the moment of merging from behind, a man feels exactly like this. His mind is still here, but his ground floor, his engine, is pure animal power. And the woman needs exactly this centaur, not an accountant or a programmer. This pose allows you to safely play out one of the most ancient scenarios in human history, hunter and prey. In the civilized world, we cannot hunt anyone. It is forbidden. But the instinct of pursuit, the instinct of capture, has not gone anywhere. It is just sleeping. And when you press her with your hips, when you grab her by the hair, you activate this ancient program. You are the invader. She is the trophy. It sounds frightening to moralists, but for the psyche, it is salvation. Psychologists call this safe violence. You both know it is a game. You both know that no one will get hurt for real here. And it is this knowledge that allows you to go so far in your sensations. You remove the safety catches. In this game, there are no words equality or democracy. Here there is only strength and submission to strength. And the paradox is that living through this scenario in bed reduces the level of real aggression in life. A man who was a beast at night becomes the calmest and most balanced person during the day. He is fed. His shadow is fed. It is in this pose that what we call catharsis happens most often. This is not just an orgasm. This is total, absolute emptying. Many men have noticed that the finale in the position from behind feels different. It is sharper, dirtier in a good sense, more devastating. This is because here the discharge occurs on 3 levels at once. Physical friction and pressure, visual you see the process, and psychological you dominate. When these 3 peaks coincide, an explosion occurs. You pour out of yourself not only biological fluid, but also all accumulated stress, all anger at the boss, all fatigue from traffic jams and news. You cleanse yourself through this act. The woman feels it. She feels how this tension comes out of you and accepts it into herself, transforming it with her female nature. This is the highest alchemy of sex that schools are silent about. Exchange of energy where your darkness becomes light thanks to her acceptance. But the beast has many faces, and the position from behind is not a frozen statue. It has evolution. There are variations, each of which carries its own unique psychological shade. From exactly how you do it, the meaning of what is happening changes. Let's break down the 3 main variations of dominance that every man claiming the title of master must know. Part 7. Variations of dominance. Evolution of the pose. The first variation is vertical power standing. When the action moves to the vertical plane, the dynamics change. This is the pose of urgency. This is a pose that says, I want you right now, I cannot wait. Here, a wall or high furniture is often used as support. Psychologically, This creates a trap effect. You press her against the wall, cutting off retreat paths. She is sandwiched between a cold, hard surface and your hot body. This incredibly arouses a woman, as it simulates a situation of hopelessness, the inevitability of your desire. In this position, you have maximum mobility. You stand on your feet, you are stable. You can easily change the angle, lift her, control every movement. This is the pose of quick, furious, impulsive sex that flares up like a match. There is no place for long preludes here. This is pure impulse. The second variation is total suppression, lying on the stomach. In Western slang, this is called the prone bone. This is perhaps the most intimate and heaviest variation. The woman lies on her stomach, legs straightened or slightly spread, and the man lies on top of her with all his weight. Here the contact of bodies becomes absolute. There is not a millimeter of free space between you. You cover her with yourself like a heavy blanket. Her movements are completely blocked by your weight. She cannot move, cannot change pose. She is completely in your power. Friction in this position is maximum, as there is no space for sliding. Everything is very tight and close. This creates an incredibly rapid buildup of arousal. Psychologically, this is the bunker pose. You are cut off from the world. There is only your breathing and the heaviness of bodies. For many couples, this is a way to feel maximum unity, to literally melt into each other. This is not about speed, it is about pressure and depth. The third variation is the mirror trap. This is when the classic position from behind is performed in front of a large mirror. Here we add the element of voyeurism we talked about at the beginning, but we square it. Now you see not only her back, you see her face distorted by passion in the reflection. But the nuance is that she still has her back to you. You see her emotions, but she doesn't see yours. You remain an invisible observer even in the reflection. This creates a double blow to the psyche. You control her body with your hands, and her emotions with your gaze through the mirror. For a man, this is an opportunity to see himself from the side in the role of that very beast. To see his back, his tense muscles, his work. This confirms your status. You look and think, yes, that's me. I am doing this to her. I am giving her pleasure. This is the most powerful fueling of the male ego, which reinforces self-confidence. All these variations are tools. Just as an artist chooses a brush, a wide one for the background or a thin one for details, so a man must choose a variation of the pose to suit the mood, the task, the energy level. But whichever option you choose, remember, the essence remains one. It is a throne. It is a place where you temporarily become the king of nature. And now that we have analyzed all the details, from anatomy to psychology, it is time to reveal that very main secret. The secret for which you watched or listened to this material to the end. The mechanism that turns ordinary sex into a source of male strength and longevity. Get ready. Now we will summarize and show our cards. Part 8. Summary. The King's Throne and the Secret Mechanism. So, we analyzed anatomy, psychology, and mechanics. But why did I call this pose the key to male immortality? What is that secret reset mechanism? The answer lies in the biochemistry of the winner. In biology, there is a concept called the winner effect. When a male wins a fight or seizes territory, he has a massive release of testosterone. This hormone is not just responsible for muscles or libido. It is the hormone of life force. It lowers the level of cortisol, the stress hormone that kills us slowly every day. In the modern world, it is difficult for a man to experience pure victory. Success in business is blurred. Victories in arguments are relative. We lack the absolute. And the position from behind is that very surrogate of ancient victory that tricks our brain for the better. When you tower over a woman, when you control her, when you see her submission, your ancient brain reads this as an act of total domination. For the limbic system, there is no difference whether you defeated an enemy in the field or conquered a woman in the bedroom. The chemical reaction is the same. You get a cocktail of dopamine and testosterone that resets your system. You feel alive. You feel right. You feel like a king. This is the king effect. At this moment, you don't just get pleasure. You restore your hierarchy. You remind yourself who you really are. Not a manager, not a taxpayer, not a convenient neighbor, but a man who has the right to take what is his. And this feeling of inner rightness is carried out of the bedroom into real life. A man who realized his inner beast at night behaves more confidently, calmly, and on a larger scale during the day. This is a cycle. The bed charges life. Life requires discharge in bed. Therefore, my advice to you, as a researcher and as a man, do not be afraid of your dark desires. Do not try to be sterile and correct where dirt and passion are needed. Civilization is only 5,000 years old, but the instinct of reproduction and dominance is millions. Fighting it is useless, suppressing it is harmful to health. Accept this gift of evolution. Use this pose not just as a mechanical act, but as a ritual of returning strength. Look at this curve of the back. Squeeze these hips. Roll confidently. Your strength is her pleasure. Your power is harmony in your couple. And remember, when you take her from behind, you do not humiliate her. You raise her to the pedestal of your desire, simultaneously occupying your rightful throne. Final admonition. This channel is a closed club for those who have understood life. We dissect reality here, cutting off everything superfluous to get to the very essence of male nature. We talk about what others whisper about. If you watch to this moment, it means you are one of us. It means the philosophy of strength and awareness is close to you. We will continue this path. Ahead of us await analyses of even deeper, even sharper topics that will help you build your life by your own rules. To not miss the next analysis that will make you even stronger, check your subscription to the channel right now. Hit the bell so the system doesn't hide the truth from you. Welcome to the Brotherhood. Talk soon.